Okay. Hello and welcome to the first episode of the West East podcast. My name is Amanda and I am joined today. How do you want to be? I put Dr. Art in the artwork, but should I officially address you as Guru or Dr. Art or Urvashi? How do you want to be addressed on the podcast? Because I call you Guru in real life, but in welcoming everybody, I'm thinking. You have so many names to me, Guru. I want to know which one you want to go with officially on the podcast.
So, as you said, my given name are many. My name is Urvashi. Everyone calls me at home Guru. But I would like to be introduced or known as Dr. Art. But I would totally give you a choice. Whatever you want to call me, I would be honored.
I feel like that's exactly the answer I would expect you to say, and perfectly situates us. So welcome everybody. I'm Amanda, joined by Dr. Art. We had an idea to start a podcast, and we're going to take this episode as an opportunity to kind of situate ourselves, introduce ourselves, and give you, the listener, an idea of what to expect if you want to listen to this podcast. So if you've stumbled on this, I feel like the first episode of most of the podcasts that I've listened to are usually just kind of there for people who are shopping around. You're trying to see if you like this podcast. So, well, we'll give you what you asked for, and we'll kind of start to unpack what we aim to do here. Maybe we can start with, I guess I kind of started by asking you about your name, but the first question would really be, who are we, right? Because we're not we're not famous or like in the news, so we can give people an opportunity to know a little bit more about ourselves. And I'll start by asking you, Guru, or Dr. Art. I'll start by asking you
No,
if I was
you can call me Guru also. It's fine. Don't
okay.
worry. You don't
Okay.
have to be so cautious about it. As God, I have many names, so you can call me with any. Don't worry.
Amazing.
So, I'm sorry for that joke.
That's a very
No,
good
but
joke. I
being
love that.
serious, I'll tell you something about myself. So,
Mhm.
initially, I didn't have my voice. I didn't have the sense of self. But after a bigger trauma in my life, I tried to find myself, and I got to learn about myself. I worked on myself. So now that's why I wanted to be the voice of inspiring voice kind of a thing, where people can understand or know that they also can have this voice inside them, and they can cultivate it or grow it, I would say. So professionally, if you say, I am a doctor, a diabetologist, a diabetic foot specialist, and as I mentioned earlier, a art therapist. But beyond my names, or beyond my achievements, and beyond my all the tags which are given to me, I am a human. I am attached to a universe, and I am a being in the whole Big Bang theory, what you can say. And I want to get attached to the my sources and roots as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to say something about yourself?
Yeah, I'm I'm still taking in your awesome introduction, and I love that you mentioned the Big Bang, because I think I might be speaking to the biggest fan of the Big Bang Theory show. I think I can confidently say that, like, go on the record and say you're definitely the biggest fan of that show that I know. Um, uh, but you asked me about myself, not about you. So, who am I? Is a interesting question I always find when someone gets asked that, because I feel like the older you get, the harder it is to define who you are, right? The more experiences we have lead us both closer and farther away from who we are as like people. But like I would say, I'm a wife, I'm your sister-in-law. I am a professional, like working professional, like woman with a corporate job, but also helps Shiv in a professional sense. So doing some singing and getting to be like artistic, and I do also have experience public speaking, advocating for people with MS, because I've lived with MS since I was 17. So I feel like that question like so many things, but something that I want to kind of echo that I heard you talk about is when you're saying I'm a being and I'm looking for like points of connection. That actually kind of leads into the next question we were going to explore, which is the why are we here piece. And I think that that's really what inspired these conversations to become more than just us on like a WhatsApp video call. For people who don't know, I'm recording this from Toronto, Canada, and Guru is recording this from Mumbai, India. So we are literally on opposite sides of the world, talking to each other as we do like pretty much every day. And uh, I think something that interests me as a person and is part of who I am is trying to search for what connects me to others. And so the why are we here piece, um, and I want you to weigh in on this too after me here, Dr. Art. But the why are we here piece is really about finding those points of connection, right? Our listener demographic is going to be a nightmare for marketing because we're not really here just for the women or just what I mean to connect to the voices for men or for like a aging demographic or people who are just like looking for like a mindset of like what's hip and what's new. It's more about people who are just looking to connect and find points of similarity. And I think that we're going to be able to do that by just having conversations about our own lives and seeing the points of connection coming from and growing up in very different parts of the world, but being able to share so much as we do. So I kind of answered two questions at once, but that's like both who I am and then kind of what brings us here. Um, uh, what about you, Guru? Why do you think we decided to start this podcast?
So little bit you also covered in whatever you said, but I'm going to be honest. I have a little bit ulterior motive behind this. Because I think it's been 2 years since you guys are together,
Yeah.
and we almost speak every day. So whenever our phone call or whenever we have the video call or whatever, whenever we converse, the
Yeah.
discussions turned out to be so interesting, and we learn so much about, like, you learn from
Yes.
my or Shiv's childhood, or I learn from your experiences. So that gives me something inspiring, and something to be looking forward to, or I learn every time when I speak to you, though it's our silly talk every day, like normal talks. So
Yeah.
I want our normal talk to be even recorded, and if some people can get benefited from that or can get connected to it and can get inspired from it, that would be like a cherry on top, as you say.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I completely agree. And time flies. It's actually been 3 years. we're we're into 3 years. I guess basically the date that this is available to for the world to hear, it'll be 3 years. Um, but uh, yeah, I agree that, and thank you. I feel like I learn as well, and obviously, what I find most interesting, and what I think I've learned the most too is when it's one thing to grow up like, because I obviously grew up in this part of the world. I grew up not too far from Toronto, so I grew up with a lot of like Western media and Hollywood movies and um, a lot of Canadian media, and so it's interesting to see, like, when I ask you about a movie that I've seen, or you ask me about a movie I haven't seen, and I think, oh wow, like the experience from a different part of the world, right? It's not like you guys don't have access to like Hollywood and you don't know, you know what I mean, what Hollywood movies are, but it might not be your focus. It might not be the like you guys have SRK, so I mean, I would completely understand if you've never watched a Hollywood movie ever, because like I discovered SRK way too late in life. And I am still obsessed and will forever be. um, but so like there's a lot of good learning. I don't want to ramble because I have a habit of doing that. But I think that you touched on a really good point there, and I wouldn't call it an ulterior motive. I would just call it a very honest uh, I guess wish. Um, so
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that there's not. Well, we kind of answered the third question that we were going to try to answer here throughout, but maybe we can start to unpack this, or maybe we can decide, you and I together, on a first topic as sort of like our final note for this first episode. Time flies, but uh, what the heck do you want to talk about? Because we have so
I
many
just want to
things.
have a normal conversation with you, and you know that when we will convert, something will come out of it. Don't worry.
It's
And
true.
something beautiful will come out of it.
It's
We
true.
don't need a topic also.
I agree. I like that. I like that, and I like to sort of declare that we don't have to be so formal. Um,
Yeah, you just be, I think you be yourself, I'll be myself, and we'll just talk.
yeah, yeah, that works. So maybe we can leave our audience with well, what's that saying? I think it's from the play Waiting for Godot, but to dangle the carrot, which is like to give the
Yep,
incentive. So the
yep.
next episode, now that we've gotten the ball rolling, and everybody knows who we are, and they're kind of obsessed with us. I don't want to sound egoistical. No, I'm just kidding. Um, now that we've hopefully hooked our
No,
listener, what should we explore
once
first?
they'll get to know us, once they'll get to know us, they'll be obsessed with us,
There
definitely.
it is. There it is. Supernatural level fame.
Yep.
Um, but do you want to try? Do you want to decide on a first topic, or where this conversation will go in the next episode? What should we explore first?
We can explore our uh, normal culture, some point of in our culture difference or something, or similarities we can see.
Yeah,
As
you
I'm like Indian and you are Italian, so we
yeah.
can talk about some similarities if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I like that. I like that. We can start there. And you brought up an interesting thing right at the end there too, is most people in Canada, like, cuz I'm born in Canada, but I describe myself as Italian. You're right, because most people here have that sort of second culture, right? That they'll talk about. So that'll bring in an interesting discussion. But I like that.
So my idea is that though we are far, like we are born so far from this place,
Yeah.
but we have, if when we discuss, I have got to learn that it's a very interesting or very amusing thing that though we are so different, though still we are so alike, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah, and we draw similar conclusions. Um,
Yep.
yeah, and maybe this is a good point to leave the first episode on too, is that even when we're different, uh, it's a we end up learning so much about, like, through the differences, right? So it's like, oh, any difference that I've noticed has just been an opportunity for me to learn and see like a new perspective. It's like we're always looking at the same house, but we're looking at it from a different side. Um, but yeah, if if there if there's no, I think we've decided the first topic. We've very very nicely introduced ourselves. So I guess we can end and close by saying just a big thank you to everybody for tuning into the first episode of the We podcast. And I want to thank you, Dr. Art. I want to thank you, Guru, because I'm just very happy to get this opportunity to do this with you. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, same feelings. I would say ditto. And I would like to thank Vairag Entertainment also for giving me this opportunity and doing this podcast.
Hey, thanks. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. All right. Well, until next time, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This has been us on the We podcast. Take care.
Yeah. See you. Bye bye.
So 1 for my city, 2 for my city. God knows what I wouldn't do for my city. 3 for my city, 4 for my city. No, I'm the one who'd go to war for my city. 5 for my city, 6 is my city. Holla at me if y'all vibe with my city. Come try on my city, don't you lie in my city. Symbol of truth, I'll fight for my city.
The West East podcast is part of the We campaign, also known as Anti-East Indian Hate Campaign by Vairagya Entertainment. We will be back soon with our first discussion. You can weigh in on the conversation in the meantime in our comments section or on our social media. And be sure to visit www.iamshivam.net/W-E. Remember, Vasudev Kutumbakam. We are all one family. Until next time.